The laws it contained date back more than 500 years. They were once enforced by tribal chiefs and served as a kind of constitution for many Albanians, setting the rules on a variety of issues, from stealing to marriage to murder. Families involved in blood feuds often feel that revenge is the only way to restore their honor.
Feuding people who also have centralized governments and police very often don't feel confidence in the modern system because it has a different set of values. It doesn't value honor.
The Albanian police do all they can to prevent killings, but often that isn't enough. So it is up to mediators like Alexander Kola to try to prevent feuds escalating into murder. Prison, a place where serious criminals are punished. Behind bars, under lock and key. But not all penitentiaries separate their inmates from society.
I believe that today there is a big misinterpretation of the Kanun. The killers are people who know absolutely nothing of the Kanun, because in regards to killing and avenging in a blood feud, there are very strict rules you should follow.
Elezi says that according to the Kanun, women like Bata cannot be the target of a blood feud, and neither can children. Tonian's words seem to signal an encouraging development in this long-running blood feud. But until she receives an official assurance from the entire Vukai family that her son is not in danger, Vittore will not allow Christian to leave the house. As Albanians look to the future, many hope that blood feuds will one day be relegated to the pages of history books. And for the innocent victims of this ancient code of justice, that day cannot come soon enough. And he's not alone. In Texas, Judge Ted Poe has been dealing out similar forms of shame punishment since 1997.
If we're held up to public ridicule, public embarrassment, we don't like it. And it will change conduct, it'll change attitude. So I call it public punishment.
Yet the idea of public humiliation for criminals goes back much further in time.
In the early period of the United States, for example, and of course in Britain as well, it was a common punishment for certain crimes to put people in the stocks. The real pain was less physical than it was the psychological pain, the humiliation of being shamed.
The Puritan societies of 17th century America were known to publicly shame adulterers by making them wear the letter A on the front of their clothing, as described in the Nathaniel Hawthorne novel, The Scarlet Letter. But in an age where human rights are paramount, some see public punishments as cruel and belonging in the past.
My understanding of the argument that says that shaming punishments are human rights abuses is that shaming punishments impose cruel psychological harm. Now, I can certainly imagine that intense shaming punishments, especially in societies where the experience of shame is more intense than in other societies, I can imagine that there could be a dimension of cruelty and lasting harm to shaming punishments.
Yet most Dayton citizens seem to support shaming as a form of punishment.
I think it's working. I think he's doing an excellent job with it. You know, with these young kids, he's really doing a good job.
Don't hide away our criminals. Show them to us. It'll be an object lesson for us, and I think it helps him. I really honestly do.
But what is it like on the other side? How do the criminals feel about being publicly shamed? 18-year-old Jason Burton is a senior in high school, so believes shame punishment is highly effective.
I don't believe I've had anybody come back in here a second time after they've walked. Now, you know, that's not scientific. I can't keep up, can't have a memory of everything, but I usually remember faces. But I'm not aware of any that's come back in here on the same charge of shoplifting after they've walked with a sign.
Public shaming may appear to discourage repeat offending, but at what cost to the individuals? Experts say that judges who use these alternative punishments need to be mindful that public shaming could in some cases do more harm than good.
Carry a sign stating your offense.
When it comes to young people who've committed crimes and offenses and who are punished, there's always a question of whether the punishment is going to do more harm than good. For example, with shaming punishments, sometimes the question arises, will the shaming ruin the young person's life or even cause him to regard his life as no longer really worth living, leading to suicide or perhaps leading to criminality? We can't accurately predict what punishment is going to do. Judges just have to do their best.
For Jason, the time has come to pay the price for breaking the law. His father, Tony, drops him off outside the music store in Dayton's main street.
You know, this is going to be a whole lot easier on you. You know, instead of going to jail, you know what you done was wrong. And for Judge McKenzie to actually give you this chance to be out in the open and show people, you know, and you know what you done was wrong.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll be here waiting on you.
Over the next few weeks, Jason must walk for a total of 32 hours in full view of Dayton citizens. Today, another shoplifter also sentenced by Judge McKenzie is undergoing the same punishment. Some ignore the criminals and walk on by. Others shake their heads in disgust, laugh, or sound their horns in mockery. Jason says he also hears abuse shouted from cars. He feels some of these reactions are excessive, considering the relatively minor nature of his crime.
The society here are nice, but they seem to see it as a worse crime than it is. I understand that stealing is a severe crime, but they treat me as though I've murdered somebody.
In practice, there is little research to prove whether shame punishments work. But Judge McKenzie is convinced of its effectiveness, even if he does face criticism.
A lot of people that come before me don't like it. You know, I can't say that some of the things I've done have been the most popular. However, what I've done or what punishment I've imposed on them, I thought fit the crime. And I have to live with it in my life. And if I had to go somewhere today and quit, I'd be satisfied with what I've tried to do to change the people in Ray County to be more productive citizens.
As for Jason, he says his days of being a lawbreaker are behind him.
The shame punishment has changed my life drastically. I was very sorry, and I think it's brought me closer to my family. You know, it's not going to be easy, but I think with time, I will be able to gain their trust back.
Human nature demands justice be served, but not everyone agrees on which punishment best fits the crime. Is it fair to avenge every murder with another? To allow killers the freedom of an open prison? Or to sentence young offenders to a walk of shame? These forms of justice may be acceptable to some, but to others, they're not just unfair, they're taboo.